8 years after the show wrapped, the actor who played Captain Binghamton was pulled from his own Beverly Hills pool at just 49 years old. 13 other cast members have followed him since. Number 1 on the list is Ernest Borgnine, who played Lieutenant Commander Quentin McHale from October 1962 through April 1966. Borgnine was 45 at the premiere, already holding an Academy Award for starring in Marty 7 years earlier. That Oscar was the reason the show actually worked. Any lesser actor would have screamed the role straight into cartoon territory. Borgnine brought that same gentle, fatherly warmth from Marty, anchor every moonshine run, every wild scheme, and every unmilitary stunt the P-73T crew ever pulled. What most viewers never knew back in Season 2 was that Borg married Broadway legend Ethel Merman on June 27, 1964. She filed for divorce just 32 days later. Merman devoted an entire chapter of her 1978 autobiography to that marriage, and it was just a single blank page. Borgnine later admitted he actually thought he was marrying Rosemary Clooney. His fifth and final marriage to Tova Tresnes lasted 39 years until his death, giving him the only real stability he ever had. After McHale's Navy, he kept working harder than actors half his age, starring in The Dirty Dozen, The Wild Bunch, The Poseidon Adventure, and voicing Mermaid Man on SpongeBob SquarePants. Borgnine died of kidney failure on July 8, 2012 at Cedar Sinai in Los Angeles at 95, the oldest living Best Actor Oscar winner. He is buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, California. The next cast member almost did not survive the show's run. Gavin McLeod played Seaman Joseph Happy Haynes from 1962 to 1964. Happy was just a cheerful background presence, a role McLeod later described as basically 2 lines a week. Stressed about payments on his new Granada Hills home, he signed a 42-week contract that was financially safe, but creatively soul-crushing. But here is what most viewers never knew. McLeod started drinking heavily after his friend Ted Knight bluntly asked, "Why are you doing this show? You are just a glorified extra." That brutal question replayed in his head for weeks. One night in 1964, McLeod drove up Mulholland Drive, intending to steer off the cliff. His foot slammed the brake just moments before the edge. Shocked, he drove to Robert Blake's house, and Blake got him into therapy. The career that almost ended on Mulholland turned into one of the greatest second acts in American television history. Murray Slaughter on all 168 episodes of Mary Tyler Moore, then 10 years as Captain Merrill Steubing on The Love Boat. He married dancer Patty Kendig in 1974. Divorced her in 1980 and remarried her in 1985, a move almost nobody in Hollywood pulls off. McLeod died at his Palm Desert home on May 29, 2021 at 90, about 57 years after his foot nearly missed that break. He is laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Cathedral City, Riverside County, California. Quick question for you in the comments: of the 3 surviving comedy juggernauts of 1960s television, McHale's Navy, Hogan's Heroes, and F Troop, which one actually holds up best when you watch it today? And why? Coming in at number 3 is Thomas Daniel Conway, who played the bumbling insane Charles Parker for all 4 seasons, winning his first Emmy for it. Tim Conway was a former Cleveland television writer who nearly rejected the role until a Channel 8 executive told him. In his own words from the Encyclopedia of Cleveland History, "Let me make this easy for you. You are fired." That firing actually pushed him into the role that launched his career. Parker was McHale's sweet, stammering second-in-command whose every attempt at Navy protocol ended in depth charges firing backward. Conway played him as a guy, constantly apologizing to the air around him, a template for everything that followed. After McHale's Navy, he survived several failed variety shows before finally joining the Carol Burnett Show in 1975. 3 more Emmys followed, plus a 5th for Coach and a 6th for 30 Rock in 2008. He married Mary Ann Dalton in 1961 and had 6 children with her, divorced in 1978, and married Charlene Fusco in 1984. That second marriage survived a messy conservatorship battle between Charlene and Conway's daughter Kelly during his final year. Conway died on May 14, 2019 at a Los Angeles care facility at 85 from complications of normal pressure, hydrocephalus, a painful condition where spinal fluid builds up in the brain. He is buried at Westwood Village Memorial Park, Sanctuary of Prayer, Los Angeles. At number 4, we have a guy who was already a legend before the show started, Cole Ballantine. born Maya Kessler in Chicago in 1917. Played torpedoman Lester Gruber, the Brooklyn hustler whose get-quick schemes always dragged the crew into trouble. Ballantyne played it with the sharp timing of a seasoned vaudeville pro. Before him, magicians took stage magic seriously, and laughs only happened between the tricks. He was the first magician to mess up his own tricks on purpose for comedy. David Copperfield openly credits him with inventing the genre of comedy magic. Steve Martin, writing in his memoir Born Standing Up, called Ballantyne the king of bungling magicians and handed him the Academy of Magical Arts Lifetime Achievement Fellowship in 2007. He was also the first magician booked in Las Vegas, appearing in 1953 alongside Harry James, Betty Grable, and Sammy Davis Jr. Ballantyne married actress Cecile Cabot, and they stayed married 45 years until she passed in 2000. They named their two daughters Saratoga and Molly Callahan after his favorite racetracks. Ballantyne did his comedy magic act one last time at the Kodak Theater in 2008 at 90. He died at home in Hollywood, November 3rd, 2009, at 92. A working magician right to the end. His remains were cremated, moving to number 5, a cast member whose career took a totally wild turn. Yoshio Yoda played Seaman Third Class Fujiwara, or Fuji Kobayashi, the Japanese Navy deserter adopted by the PT-73 crew and hidden from Binghamton constantly. Yoda was in all 138 episodes. His wide-eyed sweetness turned what could have been a wartime cliché into one of the show's warmest characters. He never actually planned on becoming an actor. Yoda was a Keio University law student who moved to study film at US, hoping to produce movies, until NGIM scouted him right off campus for the horizontal lieutenant. McHale's Navy came right after, when the show ended in 1966, plus a final guest spot on Love, American Style in 1969. Yoda quit acting for good. He became a US citizen, legally changed his first name to James, spent 15 years in Hawaii, and by 1987 became Assistant Vice President of Inventory at Toyota Hawaii in Honolulu. The TV deserter was now a corporate automotive boss. After losing his son, Edward Yuji Yoda, he retired to Fullerton, California. Yoda passed away there on January 13, 2023. At age 88, as he requested. There were no services. Number 6 is a radio veteran who worked way before it even existed. Bob Hastings played Lieutenant Elroy Carpenter, Binghamton's ultimate yes man, who's constant oh good. Oh sir, that is brilliant and apologetic. I am sorry, sir. It was all my fault was the perfect echo to Joe Flynn's wild outbursts. Hastings was born in Brooklyn back in 1925 and served in World War II as a navigator on B-29 Superfortress bombers, flying real combat missions way before he ever played a soldier on TV. He was the radio voice of Archie Andrews on Numbi-Sav from 1945 to 1953. After McHale's Navy, Hastings became a massive voice actor in American cartoons, playing Commissioner James Gordon throughout the whole DC animated universe, starting with Batman. The animated series, way back in 1992, this one fact says everything about who he was. He married Joan Rice, and they stayed together 66 years until he passed away. 4 kids, 10 grandkids, 12 great-grandkids. In an industry built on divorce, 66 years is a quiet monument. Hastings died of prostate cancer in Burbank, California on June 30th, 2014 at age 89. His funeral mass was held at St. Finbar Catholic Church in Burbank. Now, here is the cast member we promised you at the start. Joe Flynn played Captain Wallace Burton Binghamton, that red-faced base commander whose classic catchphrase, "I could just scream," stole almost every scene. Flynn missed only one of the 138 episodes. He was fired from the Joey Bishop show in 1961, supposedly for stealing way too many scenes from Bishop, and McHale's Navy snatched him up the very next season. In the early 1970s, he led a Screen Actors Guild push for fairer television residual payouts. He passed away just as that battle was hitting its most critical moment. Flynn married Shirley Ann Haskins in 1955. 19 years and 2 kids later, Shirley was the one who found his body. But there is a dark detail about his death most fans never knew. See, Flynn broke his leg doing a stunt for the strongest man in the world, leaving him in a massive plaster cast from ankle to hip when a sudden heart attack struck in his Beverly Hills pool on July 19, 1974. That cast filled with water and dragged him under. He could not break the surface. Flynn was 49. Shockingly, his last interview on the Merv Griffin show still aired the day he passed, since the network decided not to pull the episode. Today, he rests at Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City, California. If you are still with me, please hit subscribe. These deep dives take weeks of research, and I personally verified every single resting place here. Next up is Gary Vinson, who portrayed Quartermaster George Christy Christopher, the knave, all-American helmsman of the crew and love interest to Nurse Molly Turner. Vinson starred in 79 episodes and actually wrote one, making him the only main cast member to get a writing credit outside the regular writers. He broke down his unique niche in a 1966 interview with the Ithaca Journal. I got my start during the Marlon Brando era, back when guys my age wore pouts, ripped shirts, messy hair, and looked like they needed a shower. Wouldn't he do that? So whenever a director needed a clean cut, all-American boy type, I was basically the only guy in town. After the show, he landed a sheriff role on CBS's Pistols and Petticoats, co-starring 1940s icon Ann Sheridan. Sadly, Sheridan was already battling terminal cancer when she signed her contract. She pushed through 21 episodes before passing away, and canceled the show just 2 months later. Vinson never scored another steady gig. On October 15, 1984, in Redondo Beach, California, he took his own life just a week before turning 48. Local obituaries reported he was deeply distressed by incoming legal troubles. The innocent golden boy of the crew met a tragic end nobody saw coming. Today, his final resting place remains a mystery. Coming in at number 9 is Edson Stroll, the handsome 6-foot charmer of Pete 73 and the crew's designated ladies' man. Stroll was a former bodybuilder with a prestigious Fulbright scholarship in vocal performance. Before joining the crew, he landed roles in 2 Three Stooges movies and 2 Twilight Zone classics, including the iconic Eye of the Beholder. Here is a secret most of his fans never knew. Stroll grew up in an orphanage. His parents split in 1933 when he was only 4. By the 1940 census, he was stuck in a New York orphanage because his struggling mother could not afford to raise him. He joined the Navy right after high school and earned his Fulbright and built his life from there. In 1969, he became a licensed surveyor certified by the Coast Guard to captain ships. He earned a massive reputation as an expert witness in maritime lawsuits and personally surveyed the SS Catalina. The handsome television sailor traded the cameras for the real ocean he had once only faked on a Hollywood backlot. At number 10, Jane Dulo played Nurse Molly Turner, the feisty Jersey woman who spent 4 seasons chasing Ernest Borgnine's character with zero luck. Jane played Molly with pure charm, grit, and a real sense of dignity. A woman who never gave up, but never caught her man. She was a performer since age 10, getting her start in vaudeville and eventually lighting up Broadway in Are You With It and On the Town, the classic Leonard Bernstein musical later made into a film starring Frank Sinatra. After the show wrapped, she kept incredibly busy playing Agent 99's mom on Get Smart and appearing on the Jack Benny program. Her big screen roles included Roostabout with Elvis Presley, Soylent Green, and Beaches. Dulo passed away in Los Angeles on May 22, 1994. At age 76, from heart surgery complications. The procedure went wrong and her heart never recovered. On television, Molly spent years chasing a love she couldn't have. But in real life, the actress spent 40 years being chased by every big casting director in town. Her final resting place remains a secret. But trust me, this next story will blow your mind. This next actor actually landed on a beach during one of the most historic military battles ever, long before playing a television Navy officer. Billy Sands played the motor machinist, made Harrison Tinker Bell, the short baby-faced mechanic keeping P-73 running. Sands had a weirdly parallel career. He played the exact same archetype, Private Dino Paparelli, on the Phil Silvers Show, starring in exactly 138 episodes, then doing the same on McHale's Navy. A perfect accidental mirror before TV, he was a real Broadway lead, starring opposite Spencer Tracy in The Rugged Path in 1946. His most famous late career gig was playing the fight booker in the opening scenes of Rocky, a scene watched by hundreds of millions worldwide. Sands passed away from lung cancer on August 27, 1984, at the John Wayne Clinic, aged 73. Just 49 days later, Gary Vinson died in Redondo Beach. 2 members of the PT-73 crew gone in 7 weeks. 18 years after the show ended, he rests at Hillside Memorial Park in Culver City. Next is Henry Beckman, who played Colonel Douglas Harrigan, the corrupt Army counterpart to Binghamton. Beckman was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia, back in 1921. And here is what that opening hint was about. Beckman lied about his age to enlist, surviving the D-Day landings in Normandy on June 6, 1944. He was only 22 when he hit that beach. Long before playing a fictional soldier, he walked out of a landing craft right into the most historic battle of the 20th century. After McHale's Navy, he booked recurring roles on Here Come the Brides and played Detective Frank Briggs on The X-Files during the 90s. He racked up over 100 acting credits across the US and Canada, taking home 2 Canadian Film Awards for Best Supporting Actor and even getting knighted later in life. His second wife, Hillary, was right by his side when he passed away in Barcelona, Spain on June 17, 2008, at age 86, a real-life D-Day veteran playing a corrupt colonel. The wildest contrast on the entire show, he is laid to rest at St. Peter's Cemetery in Whatcom County, Washington. Next up is Roy Roberts, born Roy Barnes-Jones in Tampa, Florida, in 1906, who played Admiral Rogers, the friendly high-ranking officer, always saving McHale's crew from Binghamton-esque schemes. Roberts had been playing those exact kinds of roles for 40 years before he joined the McHale's Navy cast. His resume boasts over 900 credits playing tough executives, wealthy bankers, and small-town mayors, making him one of the most insanely prolific actors in the history of American show business. Roberts was in the 1953 horror classic House of Wax as Vincent Price's shady business partner and first victim, and his quick cameo as a cop in Stanley Kramer's wild comedy, It's a Mad World got completely chopped from later TVAD broadcasts just to save time. He wrapped up his career with the neo-noirs The Outfit in 1973 and Chinatown in 1974. Roberts suffered a fatal heart attack in Los Angeles on May 28, 1975. At age 69, he was buried 1,400 miles away from the Hollywood sound stages where he spent 4 decades, resting at Greenwood Memorial Park in Fort Worth, Texas. Coming in at number 14, Herbert Lytton Kress, born in Kentucky back in 1897, who played the show's other friendly flag officer, Admiral Reynolds, for 11 episodes. His acting career spanned 44 years, running from 1937 to 1966. Though most of his roles went uncredited, he mostly played cops, doctors, and judges. He played Dr. Saltman in a classic 1964 Twilight Zone episode called What's in the Box. His final movie appearance was in Our Man Flint in 1966. Just as McHale's Navy wrapped up, he married Roma Level in 1978 at age 80. That late-life love story lasted 3 years before his death. Lytton passed away in New Mexico on June 26, 1981, at 83 years old. He was born just before the Spanish-American War, missing the launch of M2F by only 3 months. On screen, he handed out orders, but in real life, he took them for 44 years. He is laid to rest at the Masonic Cemetery in New Mexico, which brings us to our final name. And the last surviving cast member, John Robert Bobby Wright, billed simply as John Wright, played radio operator Willie Moss for all 138 episodes. Wright first went to Hollywood to audition for a guitar playing Southern boy role. He did not get that part. Even so, the producer of McHale's Navy saw his screen test and cast him as Willie. But here is the twist that completely reframes his casting. Bobby Wright is the son of Kitty Wells, the first woman to score a #1 country hit. That 1952 classic put her in the Hall of Fame, winning a 1991 Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award with Bob Dylan and John Lennon. And his dad, Johnny Wright, was half of Johnny and Jack, a major Grand Ole Opry headliner. Bobby Wright was country music royalty who wound up spending 4 years playing a fictional sailor on Ibiza. Once the show ended, he left Los Angeles for Nashville, signed with Decca in 1967, and put 21 singles on the Billboard country charts through 1979. He married Brenda K. Davis, and they had 2 daughters. As of April 2026, Bobby is 84 and still living in Nashville. Willie Moss ran the moonshine still and sang the tunes, while Bobby Wright kept keeping the family show alive long after everyone else on the P-73 finished their final watch. 14 deaths, 1 survivor, 1 boat, 138 episodes, 4 years. The last man standing is in Nashville. Still Kitty Wells' son, still the only face from the P-73 you can meet today.